For this 5th week's assignment, we are proceeding into the design development of your shelters. We want to improve the shelter design that you have started 2 weeks ago. We want to improve the cluster design that you did last week and take them to the next level. This week we again will have the submission into PDF files, A3 size or 11 by 17 American size on our Facebook group. For this submission, I would like to ask you to identify the different topics of your project and to present them accordingly. So for example, in the beginning you may have one page for the precedent studies that you have based your proposal on. Afterwards, you may have another page in which you are designing the concept with some sketches, with some text. Afterwards, you go into describing the space that you have designed. So how does it work? What is the quality of the space in the interior? What is the functional aspect of it? Maybe with some plans and sections that explain the human scale of the shelter, explain also what the space in the interior would be. We're designing a very small shelter, so remember that in this small space we need to be extremely creative in order to fit all the needs that the people living in the camps have. And these would, for example, mean that the space could be flexible. You can design a space that is used for sleeping at night, where you can lay down some mattresses on the ground and then later lift them up during the day so that the space is cleared and used as a living room or for cooking, for example. In the camps, as you know, the bathrooms and kitchens are out of the shelter itself, and most of the common spaces are out of the shelter. So people tend to not spend that much time inside the shelter. They spend a lot of time outside of it, especially if the climate allows it. This is why we invite you to design the shelter as the minimum living unit of about between 20 and 30 square meters, and to put all the other resources and all the other spaces that are needed for decent living out of the shelter itself. At the end of your presentation, in the last pages, we want to understand how the shelter is built. What are the materials that you've been using? List them in order, or maybe make some axonometric drawing and point on it and say what every part of the shelter is made out of. We also want to know the quantities of every element that you have been using. So for example, if you're using wooden walls for the facade, how much wood are you using? If you're using metal structure that supports the roofs and the wall, then how much steel do you have inside the shelter? This is a critical week for the design, and this is one of the last times when you would be getting feedback from us on your designs. So it's quite critical that you submit this week's proposal on Friday night or Saturday morning, according to your time zone. And Saturday we'll meet again and we'll spend 3 hours discussing your project. So I highly recommend that you join the meeting. If you have some other meetings or some time constraints, let us know in advance so we can schedule the meeting and in a certain way so that we can give you feedback and to accommodate your schedule. So I look forward to seeing your designs. Good luck for your work, and we'll speak again on Saturday.